this is your first time coming on, it's just a way for other couples that have found their life partners to share how that happened, how they met, what programs, or if they were on the website, and we're just hoping through these testimonies that people can just get some ideas and some tips of what works and what hasn't worked, and learn from it. And then also, I know a lot of parents have been on these calls too, and I think that it's really valuable for as parents to see that it's not only from the handbook that people have met, but people have met in all sorts of different ways, and I think that's very valuable too. So anyways, we would just want to thank you guys for coming on, and welcome to our pretty laid back testimony style, but I think it's family style, and I really like it that way. So okay, so we're just going to jump right in. Our first couple that we're going to bring on is a really sweet couple. I didn't really know them so well. We were just chatting. Now you guys probably know a little bit too, because we're all just chatting on the call. But this couple is an international couple, which is really special. And their name is Natascha and Don Phillips, and they're currently living in Virginia. So I'd like to welcome up Natascha and Don Phillips.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Shizuka. All right. My
So,
husband's going to go first.
Yes.
We agreed.
Yes, right. So how did we meet? How did we get here? What happened? Well, I'll start at the beginning. In high school, like, in terms of like going up the path to the blessing, I essentially just rode the tracks, if you know what I mean, in the same sense that, maybe if you're like this after you go to high school, you just know, oh, I guess I go to college now, or whatever, or whatever program you join after that. So I just did the blessing tracks. It's not that, like, I was inspired by the blessing. It's not that I was apathetic about the blessing. I was apathetic about the process of, individually going through families and trying to find the right one. So I essentially just put up some profiles, like, this is like Facebook, but for getting married, or so. Okay, whatever. Made a profile or whatever, and told my mom, go find me someone, my mother. And that wasn't very effective, because for a long time my profile was just kind of up and I never found anyone, until, I don't know, like after 4 years or something of my profile being up. And I wasn't really putting an effort, really, so it was like 4 years of stagnation. But I just looked on profiles and I found someone who looked perfect. Oh, look, like I felt like I understood this person. It was the perfect profile. And her mother took so long to respond. Like, we sent an email to her mother, and then a month later she responded back. And we always took 1 day to respond to her, but then she would take a month to respond back. And then after the third month of that, they were just like, no, we don't want this. And that was really disheartening. I was like, I could have sworn this person was perfect. And after 3 months of thinking of how perfect it would have been, they declined. Ugh, and you feel rejected. It's terrible. If you've gone through it, you know how it feels. I don't need to explain it. So there was some site issue where eventually no one could see my profile. Like, my profile was glitched in a very strange way. So I essentially printed out my profile and just gave it to my matching advisor. I did get a matching advisor after a while. His name is John Abelseth. He is technically, whatever, my sister's husband's father, uncle-in-law.
Uncle-in-law.
That's what I've been calling it, but whatever it is. And I just said, just shove it in find someone, man. I can feel it. It's coming soon. And meanwhile, Natascha's mom was also looking for someone, and you can explain that part later, and she got in contact with him. And so John Abelseth gives me Natascha's profile, and I look at it, and I'm wondering, what made you think this is what I wanted? Because it was like nothing. So just to explain, like, I was looking for someone who, like, was kind of laid back, not, involved in the church, but not too involved, if you know what I mean, and not too international, like should be American, just someone easy for me to understand and to be together with, or so I
relate
thought.
to.
Yes,
yeah.
relate. Yes, exactly. You understand. And that's not what Natascha's profile looked like. Like, she was born in Germany, living in Lebanon, spoke 5 languages, 6 languages. I don't even remember what it said on the profile. You technically speak even more than that. And like all this involvement with the church now, why, what? Um, but after looking at it for a while, I actually realized something, because I realized that everything that made me think that she was not the right person had everything to do with my feeling of inadequacy or my self-criticism or my self-doubt or my own shortcomings. It had everything to do with like what I thought I wasn't. Like, just for example, I wasn't that involved for the church for a chunk of my life, and I felt guilty about that, and I felt weird like being matched to someone who had been involved this whole time. Um, and I do think there is something to like a match not feeling right, and I think it's totally okay for you to look at someone's profile and say this doesn't feel right, but that's not really what was happening. I realized what was happening was it's not that it doesn't feel right, it's that I don't think that she would ever like me. And I guess I decided at one point, I don't know if John Seth did this as a joke or what, but I was like, I'm going to take this seriously, and if I'm going to turn her down, it's going to be because I don't feel like it's right, and not because I don't think that I'm good enough. And that was something that was difficult to fight through, and in a lot of ways, I'm still fighting through a lot of that. But obviously, it worked out extremely well. And then we started talking and never stopped talking, and now we're here.
Aw, you're gonna let me share the rest?
Yes,
The
you tell
details?
and anything else you want to say.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Right. So I guess I'll also start the beginning. Just as my husband mentioned already, I grew up in Lebanon. My parents are missionaries, National Messiah there. So I've lived there since I was 7 years old. And we were the only blessed family in the country for most of that time. There was a little bit of time at the beginning when I was very young, and then in between a couple of visits from people, but mainly just living there was just my family. So when it came like to church life, my parents were everything to me. Like my parents are the one who taught me church tradition. We did all the holy days at home. You know, we did Hundoke, not always at 5 a.m. We adapted, you know, sometimes it came in the evening, and there were periods we do it off and on. But basically, like they kept our life of faith going pretty strong, my brother and I. And this was up till college. And at that time, like, I guess it's common for young people, you know, you start exploring and wondering about options, and start wondering if this faith is really what you want. And that's, I went to a workshop in Champyong. This was 2009. So I went to a 40-day workshop with my mom, and I felt like I really understood the DP for the first time. We had a lot of DP lectures and such, and I was like, yes, this is what I want. Absolutely, the blessing is what I want. You know, this is the way for me, right? I became convinced of it. And just a few short months after that workshop, because that was in the summer, in November, they announced, you know, True Father's doing a matching, and it might be the very last one. You know, because they were saying that for a couple of years in those days. Yeah, this was actually, you know, it was just 3 years before he passed. So I decided to go, even though it was like a week's notice or 2 weeks notice. It was very short notice, but I said, like, I'm gonna go and see if I'll get matched this time. You know, I was like 20 years old. And I did get matched and blessed to someone that I, you know, met like for 2 days. And I thought that this was what God wanted for me, and this is how it was supposed to be, because that's how my parents were blessed, right? And I just wanted to end up like them because, you know, I saw them as my role models, as great parents and couple. But unfortunately, it only took a few months of a long distance relationship for that to break down, and for him to tell me that he had his doubts. And I mean, I'm not going to go into everything, but like it didn't last more than a few months before he said that he wanted to end it. And I had no confidence in myself, and also like I would say, like, I don't know, I'm strong-willed in a way, but I don't like to push, you know. So even though I have strong convictions, I'm kind of shy about expressing them sometimes. So I didn't say anything much. I was just kind of accepting it, and you know, there's nothing much I can do. And looking back, like I wish that I could be different, you know. And this kind of it's repeated later because it took a while, but like about 3 years later, you know, I was ready for my mom to start parents matching for me. So both my parents were involved, but mainly my mom. And again, because I just didn't want to push anything. Like I kind of just let them take reign of it. If I would give myself advice again, like I really wish that I had been more involved in it myself. I was just so complete, like, you know, God is going to work through my parents. They're going to find the person for me. And as soon as they introduce him to me, I'll know he's the one. I'll say yes, and that's it, you know? So I wanted to be kind of like true parents matching, but, you know, the next best thing. Yeah. And that didn't work out, you know, like I had a lot to learn. Unfortunately, where I grew up, we didn't have all the wonderful blessing education workshops that you got used to in America. So I never attended like a level 1 or a level 2 or any of that stuff before I entered like or applied to be a matching candidate. And I guess like I didn't have a matching handbook, you know, so I didn't know like how are you supposed to approach this. So really I just thought of it like an extension of what, you know, this is true parents way, right? So I did mess up. You know, when my mom introduced me to someone, I immediately said, sure, like, you know, I'm like, whoever it is, I'm going to talk to them. And I wanted to say yes, no matter what. But I realized through the process that no, actually, there are some things that I can't accept and some things that, you know, I feel I really, I have to believe in myself, and I have to know myself well enough to know, you know, what kind of life I want. And this would be advice I would give to anybody, you know, looking to get matched, right? You know, you have to know yourself, right? And really know who you are and what kind of life you want. And it's hard to figure that out. I kind of figured it out as I went through a couple of processes, you know, honestly. Although that's painful, and preferably you can figure it out, you know, on your own, and I don't know, through a lot of prayer, meditation, or whatever it is. But yeah, for me, it took that time and several years and failures before I realized, you know, what's truly important. One of the things that I realized that was not important was the height. Oh, honey. Yes, my husband is shorter than me. Yes. But yeah, for the longest time, that seemed like that was the only thing I told my parents. Like, I'm 6 foot tall. I need someone who's at least 6 feet tall, you know. That's a long shot, you know. So that was like a barrier for me for the longest time. But I finally felt like through going through process and everything, I realized what is really most important is not that kind of stuff. And it's not even that we have the same hobbies, you know. It's really that we have the same aspirations and goals and views and, you know, our direction in life, how we want to raise a family, you know, what kind of life we like, yeah, agreeing on core values and all that, right? Not even so much like how active you are involved in the church. It's true, like I am more actively involved than he is, you know, but he's completely supportive of everything I do. And that's what matters, you know. So if your significant other is supportive of you, like, you know, then I think the differences don't matter. We're like complete opposites in so many ways. And yeah, as Dawn shared, when we started talking, yeah, that was because my mom reached out to John Abelseth, because she's just been using the website this whole time to find people. Basically, there are no parents matching congregations or anything like that around the area, or like in the whole Middle East, in fact. So yeah, it was basically just using the website. And when she contacted John, she was actually trying to find out about another candidate who was on the site, but turns out that he was already matched, but still had his profile up. So that is how John got in touch with her. And then he said, you know, I have another profile. Would you like to take a look at it? And that's how. So I really feel God intervened in a way. It's funny because like Don's profile wasn't visible, so I wouldn't have seen it otherwise, you know. And if my mom hadn't wanted to contact John because of one particular other brother, like, you know, they wouldn't have gotten to know each other.
Yeah, and for clarity, yes, we had 2 profiles, but they were on different blessing sites.
Oh, that's true.
You were on the international one. I was on the American one.
That's true. We were also not on the same matching website. Yeah. So like, we should not have met, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's only because this, you know, chance encounters really can make the difference. And that's how I feel like God works, you know. You never know who God can work through, right? Yeah, anyway, so not to tell too much because I'm watching the time, but yeah, when we started talking, this was January of 2017. It was when we started talking by emailing each other, and we were just kind of getting to know each other. Everything sounded pretty good. I know from Don's end, he was expecting me to not like him and immediately reject him, but you know, I enjoyed writing to him. and then I had the chance actually in March to go to New York. I was living in Germany at the time doing a master's studies, and I said I was coming to New York for a Women's Federation conference. Do you want to meet me? So this is only 2 months into, you know, starting to communicate, but I'm like, how often am I going to get to go to the US? Like, it's rare. And this was a free paid ride for me, you know, because of this conference. So like, he took time off work and he drove up in a bus for several hours to come to New York to meet me. And it was on my birthday, which made it kind of cool. Yeah, March 16, 2017. So that's the first time we met in person. We just had one day together, really. But it was a really great day. And I feel like meeting in person is so important. You know, even if it is like long distance and it's not possible to do it a lot, it's really valuable to get to meet in person, make that chance happen. Because I felt like, well, the very first thing I realized was that, you know what, just looking at him and us standing next to each other, like, I don't mind how short he is. Like, I was like, it was so like in my heart, like I had to think about it. How's it gonna look? Like, it was one of the first things I thought of, like when I saw him, you know, but it's like, oh, you know, he's not that short, you know, it's fine. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and then I just really enjoyed talking to him. You know, like we talked for hours. We walked through Central Park, and it was middle of winter. It was freezing cold. I mean, actually, it wasn't. It was early March, but it was still freezing cold because it's New York, and there was snow. But yeah, we had a really great time, and we kept talking, and we agreed after about 7 months that we wanted to get matched. But this was after a blessing happened, so there was another year till the next one, right? So we just kind of kept talking. We were like Skyping every day. And it was 1 year later, again for my birthday, that we met again in person. And that was in Lebanon, because I really wanted him to come meet my parents. And it took him the longest time because he had never left the country. So it was a big thing for him to travel and take that step. But yes, we can proudly say his first country abroad was Lebanon. So I'm proud of that. And yeah, then we had we met the family. And I think that time was 5 days. Again, like meeting in person is like so special. Like
even if it's short.
Over those 5 days, you know, like we were with my parents most of the time. We were like they were taking us everywhere around, sightseeing, you know, we're staying out together, and we just had such a good time together. As soon as we separated, we started like crying, both of us, literally. He told me he was on the plane, he was crying, and then I was crying. And that's when we kind of felt for the first time, like romantic feelings of like, oh, I really like this person. Before that, we hadn't. It was more just like logical. Oh, we kind of, you know,
this makes sense.
Yeah, we fit well together. You know, we see eye to eye.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything like romantic, but after that there was. And then we were really excited, looking forward to the blessing in August. Yeah. I guess I'll end here because I don't want to take up too much more time. But if you have any questions, you can ask at the end. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys. That was so sweet. Okay, you guys are really cute. Very lovely couple. It's really obviously nice to see even after 2 years. I mean, I know you guys are still newlyweds. I would still say 2 years of newlyweds, but yeah, very much in love. It's very nice. I just want to kind of highlight some points that you guys were talking about. Um, and also, if anybody in the audience has questions, yeah, please put in the question and answer after the second testimony. We'll go through the questions and answer those for you guys. Okay, so Dawn, I really liked what you were saying about profiles. You know, even though Natascha reading her profile wasn't what you would expect for yourself, you kind of had this realization, like, why don't I? What is it about her profile that's kind of like thinking we're not a good fit, you know? And then you kind of went a little bit deeper and you realize that, oh, she has all these things that you felt like you were not adequate enough or you just didn't have. And then why would she like me? Because I'm not like that, you know? And so you didn't write her off. And that was a big thing, right? Because that in the end helped towards your journey towards Natascha. And then another thing that I really liked is that you felt stuck at a certain point and you expanded your network. And I think that is a big thing that not a lot of people utilize. And I'm not saying everyone has to go out and get matching supporters, but it is important to, I think, to expand your network and to talk to other people that might know other people. And so that was really great. And Natascha, I loved a few things that you were saying too. I mean, you guys, your whole story was really great. I really liked, Natascha, you're talking about height. A lot of girls, right? They say that is a big thing, that they want their guys to be taller or whatever, but you were looking more about like, okay, what are the things that are important? And we see eye to eye in our goals. And I think that that's really, certain things, certain things that, it is important to have, like, you don't have to be completely like accepting of everything, but it's fine to have deal breakers in certain things. But realizing what are those things that are the most important part. And you were talking about how like goals and do we see eye to eye in certain things, even if our faith is kind of different, but what is really the more important parts and what can be adjusted along the way. And so anyways, you guys make a really great couple and we're really happy to hear your story. So once again, if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat and or in the question and answer box, and we'll cover those later. So anyways, thank you guys. Okay. So for our next couple, another great sweet couple, and I'm excited to hear more about their story. We're going to be looking at Eiko and Robert Martin, and they're currently living in Las Vegas. They just got blessed this past February, so really new couple, but we're really excited to also hear their story. So let's welcome up Eiko and Robert.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so Eiko and I, we knew each other from GPA back in 2011 and 12, 13 kind of time period. But anyway, I guess like a little bit of a precursor on my story. At that time, we weren't really thinking of doing any kind of matching process together or anything really like that. But I had begun a matching process that didn't work out, and it, I don't know, kind of like what Don was saying, it came with a whole bunch of emotional roller coasters, and so it had been about 1 year before the 24 plus that I had met with Eiko again. And so kind of leading up to the 24 plus, I had been kind of just not in any space to really work on the matching process or like continue looking. I was kind of lost a lot of hope in that sense. But when the 24 plus came around, I saw it as, well, this is an opportunity that I could take to make a serious condition towards the matching and blessing, because I would like to be serious about it, but like I'm not necessarily, I didn't really look at the 24 plus as like the means of resolving, that issue of being single. But I don't know. at the 24 plus, like having gone through that first process, I really didn't want to beat around the bush or like, I don't know, approach people as in like, hey, let's connect on Facebook and talk for a little bit, or I don't know, none of that. I didn't want any of that. I wanted to just like know immediately, like whether or not you are good or not good to like do the matching process. And so the 24 plus was like a great setting, because, you know, everyone there is looking for the matching and blessing. And so through that speed dating and talking with Eiko, like I'd already been familiar with her from GPA, but yeah, when I approached her, I just straight out asked her if like she would do the matching process with me. And then it took her a day that day, and then she told me, she like, okay, I'll get back to you. And then at the end of that day, she told me that yes, we'll start it. And then, but even that matching process, like each milestone was like, I don't know, it's interesting because I was already bracing myself for rejection. Like, and so when she said yes, I was just like, it was a curveball, and and I was pretty stunned. But I don't know, from there we started doing conditions, and you know, during the course of that condition we would start like talking and like, I guess like sharing the bones. Like I would share the bones in my closet, like, hey, I got this bone in my closet, and this one, and we kind of like build up becoming more familiar with each other. And then at the end of that condition, we'd like approach each other and say like, okay, are we good to like continue our matching process, or should we like call it off? And so really, we, at that first condition, it was a 7-day condition, and then we did a
7 days, 3 weeks.
well, we did a 7-day first, and then it was a 3-week.
Oh,
but anyways, the end of the 3-week condition, we got together and we really seriously talked about what if our match would work, like if we should go forward with it, because like, of course, like the bones in my closet were, you know, red flags for me, you know, that maybe I'm not ready for the matching process or the blessing. And then like even on Eiko's side, she was sharing vulnerabilities. And after that conversation, we said, yeah, like I think we're both seeking like God, true parents, the matching and the blessing. And our hearts we felt that our hearts were really centered on that at the end of that condition. And so that was great. But then immediately after, it was just kind of this like downhill for me, where I was just like, I don't think I can love Eiko the way she needs me to love her. Or I don't think I can be the husband she needs me to be, or a father in that sense. And like, because I know we just finished talking about all these ideals and goals and aspirations, but then it was like, afterwards, it's like, okay, well now like there's a lot of work to do. but yeah, it was quite a few of those up until we finally decided to get matched. And even on that day, it was its own roller coaster. But yeah, stepping back each time, it was about once a month that we would reconnect and kind of, I don't know.
We asked the question.
We would ask the question, like, should we continue or should we not? And it was really affirming that, yeah, we saw that we could work it out. Like, our relationship is doable. And for me, I think a big part of it was like over the progression of the matching process was really learning to let go of my own control of the situation, because I really wanted everything to be done right, or I really wanted to not mess up this matching process. And a big part of letting go was faith. And I mean, there's that voice in the back of my head that's just like I can't just rely on spirit world. I can't rely on God. I can't rely on true parents. Like I need to be the one that does it. Like I need to be the one to, you know, approach Eiko. I need to be the one that handles the situation. But the more through the matching process, the more I was realizing that like I can't control everything. And the more I try, the worse it gets. And the more maybe like unnerved I get about the relationship. But learning to have faith and centering my goals and intentions with God and true parents actually helped my relationship with Eiko become free. Because there were a few pivotal conversations that I had with Eiko where I was able to be vulnerable with her, and she was able to be vulnerable with me, and I was like, wow, this is the meaning of true freedom, and I really want that. And there's no way I could have that, you know, that relationship with my wife or my then matching partner then without having faith in God and true parents that, like, you know, things can work out, even though I'm not like, you know, holding on for dear life that things are gonna go my way or whatever. So, but yeah, I don't know. I can let Eiko talk now.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, Robert hit a lot of good points. I think through our matching process, we had to be really honest in our conversations. We were just so serious throughout the whole process. It was about 6 months. But yeah, it was like, there was just, every time we talked, it was a very serious talk, and we had fun too. But, you know, we knew how serious this was, because it's like we're trying to commit to each other, but, you know, we had so much to work on individually. So the lesson learned for me for my matching process, Robert, was like I needed to learn truly how to change myself, like letting go of my own like pride of who I am. And like, I mean, at the time I've been in LA for maybe 5 years. I've been hustling, going to school, you know, doing what I love, my passion, and making money. And I kind of created an identity for myself through that time. But a lot of it, I had to learn how to let go so that I don't know, like I just had to learn how to change myself, because with my concept of who I am, there was no room for another person to be in the picture. That was an issue. And we actually, yeah, there were some very difficult talks in that sense when it came to that. But I don't know, it's been so amazing. Like, change is a very difficult thing to do, but it's just been so fulfilling. Like, during our process, like, I've never grown this much since like my first year of GPA or something, and I did 3 years, you know, like I just felt like I was spiritually growing. I was actually becoming the person I've always wanted to be. Someone who's actually able to like make room for love. And before going to 24 plus, actually a lot of things came up on my side when it came to my relationship with men in general. And I realized that I had a lot of healing that I needed to do in terms of that. So my mindset of going into 24 plus, I was like, okay, I'm not going to find anyone. I'm just going to go in to kind of start this process of healing so that I can prepare myself for the blessing. And it turns out, yeah, God has someone ready for me, I guess. So I don't know, it was like a huge, I guess my curveball was like, God was like, okay, no more stalling. You better start like working on your healing and start restoring everything that you need to restore, like actually take responsibility. And it's been something that I've been working on for a long time, but I just didn't really find that much of a motivation because I didn't have anything. You know, I was my own self. I was my individual self. I was working. I was living in LA, going to school. I didn't have any means to kind of look at that aspect of my life and start changing. But once Robert came into the picture, it just became so real that I was like, holy crap, like I need to really start dealing with my stuff. And that's the beauty of it was we're both so willing to go through that process, as much as it was hard and sometimes painful. There were just like, I've never experienced such beautiful moments in my life when we came together and we were vulnerable and honest, but then at the same time, like, it came from a place of wanting to unite together and really make room for each other. So yeah, that's, that's just kind of been our process. Even like the day before we got matched, we had a very tough talk. Like, it was like a kind of like this might be the break it or make it kind of like, but we kind of made it through because we understood, like Robert was saying, like, this is centered more than something. It was bigger than ourselves, and it was changing us for the better, and it was totally worth it. And faith was a big part of it. Like, my faith, that has been kind of stagnant, but kind of was really flourishing through this process. And that was a major aspect that really helped make this happen. And yeah, now we're here. I'm so grateful for my husband. Like, I don't know, just I can't imagine myself being with anyone else. Like, he's the one for me. He's the perfect person for me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one for me.
Yeah. So that's our very summarized part of our story.
Oh, well, anyways, guys, thank you so much. That was really, really sweet. It's cool because I was staffing the 24 plus, right? So I was, I didn't, anyways, we were hearing like, I think there's something going on over here. And it was just it was super exciting as staff members. We're like, oh my God. Anyways, it was really cool. Okay, so a few things that you guys mentioned that I was like, that's such a good point. Well, one thing I really admire you guys is talking about hard stuff. Talking about the hard stuff that are really, not a lot of couples like to dive into right away, but you I really like, Robert, your approach is like, I don't want the fluff. I just need to know. Like, I need to just get to the basic, the point, because I don't have time to just Facebook chat here and there, but we need to talk about, the stuff that matter. And I think that's really important. I feel like I encourage all couples that are in matching processes or any kind of relationship to really be able to talk about those bigger things, because in life, it's not about just like your favorite color and the favorite food. It's like the goals, the dreams, the visions, the stuff that were in the past that might be brought up later, all that stuff, right? So kudos to you guys for being able to talk about that right up to the day of your matching. And I'm sure after, I think that I like how you guys didn't rush things, and in your process, you almost had like checkpoints kind of to say like, and you guys made it conditions, but like checkpoints to kind of see like, okay, give it this time period and where are we at now? Okay, can we move forward? Like, you know, and I think that's nice. And also, if it didn't go forward, it would be an easy like, where are we, you know, there's checkpoints that were designed, and I think that's really helpful for anybody also that are in matching processes. It's not just like any time, but like, yeah, certain times. I'm really amazed on how God works. You know, with both couples, it's crazy because if you guys weren't at the 24 plus, if Donna and Natascha didn't reach out to other, you know, cross country, it's like, how do you meet, right? And so I think that's really amazing how God works. And then my last point is that you guys both went to the 24 plus retreat, not with the intention of, I'm here to find someone, but you both felt like you needed to do something to make like a movement, like you had to do some sort of action to create movement in this process that you knew that you wanted. Like you wanted to find someone eventually, but not necessarily like this was going to do it, but it was something that you would just go as a stepping stone. And in your case, it worked out. And this is my segue to my announcement that there is a 24 plus virtual retreat. It's going to be November 6th to the 8th. So if you haven't signed up, you're welcome to sign up. And you can go to www.24plusconnect.com. Yeah, anyways, is it .com or .org? Anyways, .com, I think. And yeah, so we do have a 24 plus, but it does work and people can meet. And I, like you said, Robert, like it was a good way, a good environment to just like get to meet people, and you know, and yeah, in a setting that was designed for that. So that's why people are there, you know. So anyways, okay, that's enough about me talking about you guys. Thank you both couples, you guys did amazing. I think that so many people got a lot of good knowledge from your testimonies, and can see that you guys are like super lovey couples, and it's really sweet and cute to see. So anyways, thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to turn it over now to Isaac. He's going to do the Q&A portion of this program. So thank you guys.
All right, thank you, Shizuka, and thank you, yeah, to both of the couples. Really wonderful to be with you. I got blessed with Don and Natascha, and then I just heard Robert and Eiko's story like a few weeks ago. They were here in Dallas. So it was even better the second time to hear it. All right, so we have questions from the audience that we're going to get to. And if you have a question that you haven't put it, now is the time to either put it in the chat or use the Q&A section on Zoom. So I'll just ask the question, and for the most part, they're just open. So either couple or individual can feel free to answer it. So the first question is, how is life after marriage? And whoever feels ready to answer it, you just go ahead.
Oh, we can go first. I guess we've been married a bit longer. Just a bit though, because it's been 2 years. And technically, I moved here in February 2019. So like that's when we officially started, you know, like our married life together, I guess. Yeah.
It's nice.
It's pretty amazing. I can't lie. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Like,
Look at her blushing.
I'm sorry.
I think it's fantastic.
Yes.
It is a lot of work.
It is.
That is something I wanted to emphasize, that when you get blessed, you're not like, you shouldn't view it as checking something off a to-do list. Mm-hmm. You're really adding something onto your to-do list, because a relationship is a thing that you need to consistently invest time and energy into.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And I actually enjoy like reading marriage books, and we attended the marriage course together, you know, which married couples of all ages and, you know, some have been married for 40 years attend. And it was great just to attend that together. So like we keep trying to, do things to enrich our marriage and learn along the way. But I also like, I don't know, there was a period of time, especially when matching process didn't work out, that I was almost ready to give up, and I felt like I don't really need marriage. I honestly felt like that for a year or two. I convinced myself like, it's okay if I end up totally alone. If I never get married, I'm cool with that, you know? But now I know how wrong I was. Because I don't know, I can't imagine my life any other way now, honestly. And I think something that I really love about our life is just like this attitude that I have of gratitude every day, you know, is every day I wake up thankful. And sometimes I look at my husband still now and think, I can't believe I'm married to you. Like, I can't believe this is real. I still have that feeling. And I think maybe it is because it did take me such a long time. I mean, I was 29 when I got blessed, you know, and just waiting all this time. And yeah, just being here now, it still feels unreal at this point. So I would very much say we're still in the honeymoon phase, I guess. But when we have a baby, it might be different, because I heard a lot of couples struggle once they have a kid. So we'll see. Yes, that's our answer.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, what do you think?
You go first.
Yeah, it's been really good. We actually were quite fortunate because once COVID hit, we both got laid off, and we've been trying to look for work ever since. We're still in that, yeah, that honeymoon phase. Like we just kind of got blessed, and we had a 40-day separation, and then we did a trip, like a honeymoon trip, and that's like right before COVID shutdowns. So yeah, we moved in together, and it's been like 5 or 6 months now.
Yeah, since March.
Yeah. You know, there's been ups and downs, but overall, like, we're growing a lot together. And this is like, it's been such, I don't know, it's been precious because, you know, once we do actually find a job and start working and life is normal again, like, it's going to be different. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think life after getting blessed is, yeah, priorities have shifted big time. Whereas before, as just like a single bachelor, like just graduated college, started my career, like I quickly became a slave to my career and just dedicated all my time to that. And so after getting blessed, yeah, like, or even during the matching process and then up to getting blessed, it's like working to shift that priority to the blessing first and then work, like, was really difficult, but getting laid off helped. And I think that not that it was necessary, but yeah, otherwise it would have been way more difficult, but
Yeah.
it's good.
It's been fun, too. We've been doing a lot of running together.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing. So we got several questions, so we'll try to get through them. The next one is, what are some of the things that tell you your partner may be the one? I guess when you were going in the matching process. And the follow-up question is, should I always trust my inspirations?
We can go first with this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, for me, it was a gut feeling. I think from the get-go, to be honest. It's a little different for Robert, but yeah, I'm always about gut feelings, but also inspirations can also be very dangerous because you do have to go through and work out the issues. And if the other person's not willing to move forward, I think you do have to choose whether or not you want to go forward with this, because at the end of the day, this is eternity, and you're choosing the one person to be with, to raise a family with, and yeah, spend the rest of eternity with. So it's so important to make sure you set boundaries, and you know what you need, you know what your goals are. Yeah, it's like if the other end is not really working out well, like, I think that's a big sign to maybe rethink, even if you have a gut feeling, you know.
For me, I guess for both of us, speaking for both of us too, though, like, I think sometimes it's hard to tell if inspirations are really an energy you want to tap into or not. But having a central figure really brings clarity to that, because sometimes inspirations, like, they really are like God and spirit world helping out, sometimes not.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me, there were a few things or experiences where it felt like stars were aligning, and I was like really allergic to that. I was like, this can't be real. Like, I gotta get away from this, because like, I don't know it. But yeah, having a central figure and like making sure that you're centered with God and your parents, like, it can work out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no exact science to it, right? Like there's
Yeah.
no formula that you're ever gonna be sure, and there's no one method that's even gonna work for everyone. It's just super localized or whatever.
Yeah. But I think there were like signs or things that helped me know you were the right one. And I would say the right one, not the one, because I don't believe in that. Like there is only one soulmate out there for you and no one else. And you have, you know, I feel like there's a variety of people that you could make it work with, you know. And I felt that with people I was like in the process with, like, you know, it could work, right? Some relationships would take more work than others. Of course, it would look different in each case, but I don't think there's such a thing as the perfect person out there. You know, I feel like you grow towards each other in that, you know, you form that relationship together. So things that really were important to me and that drew me close to him was his level of commitment. One, you know, that he was committed to calling me regularly, always being on top of communication. Although there were a few times in the early days when he would like forget our regular appointed call. That happened, it's okay. But I'm very forgiving. But in the long term, like he, you know, he kept going, and especially when he committed to traveling abroad, which I know that he was, you know, that was a really huge deal for him to do that for me, you know, so I could see how committed he was. So that was a big deal. And then also the amount of respect that he has for me, you know, like he really values me and respects me as a person and as a woman, you know, and I know that he would never want to hurt me. So those are really key for me, I would say. I don't know if you have anything.
Well, just the last tidbit I was going to add. The moment that I realized that you were the one was when I thought really hard about what do I look like in 10 years? What had my family ought to look like in 10 years? Okay, who is the mother? And I saw you.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, well.
Okay, sorry.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both. Really great answers. All right, let's go to the next one. Is having a preference for race or nationality important, or should I welcome someone from any racial background? Any thoughts that you want to share?
Oh, I don't know if that's in response to something that I said.
The nationality.
I did make the comment that I was
Looking
in it for an American, and that's, you know, freedom. And obviously that was very limiting and would have prevented me from finding the perfect person. Yeah, right, because there's a difference, right? I understand people who like don't want to marry someone who doesn't speak the language that they speak. That's a really huge barrier to try to get through. Good on people who got through it, but you know, not everyone should be subject to that. But there's even cultural barriers. Like, that's true. If there's a cultural barrier, oh, he might not get my sense of humor. Like, that is still a barrier and something that you have to work through.
But you have to know if you're willing to work through that or not.
Yes.
So I guess it depends on you, you know, if you can handle that, if you
Yeah.
think, you know, you have the maturity, you can adapt. I feel honestly, because I grew up in different countries, very culturally adaptable. So, and because I speak, as Don mentioned, several languages, I was pretty open to like meeting someone from anywhere in the world myself. So I didn't have that kind of a barrier.
Yeah.
Thank you. Robert and Eiko, anything you want to add?
I think that was good. I don't know.
Well, I guess on that, question, like I told myself I'm not gonna get married to a halfie. Robert's the same as me, white and Japanese, because I was like, I don't want to look like siblings. Uh, but at the end of the day, it's like, honestly, I mean, there are other aspects like language and culture, but I do think if you are really clicking with personality and you guys, it's just like really great, just go with it. Because you just never know what's gonna come about it. Like I don't know. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that one.
Great, thank you. All right, I just want to make a note to our audience. It's 8:58, but we still have several very good questions. So we're going to continue on, and if we go on past 9, we'll go a little bit longer. So if you need to go, you can, but we'll continue going through the questions that our audience gave. And yeah, just thank you so much for being with us. All right, next question. Was insecurity / self-doubt a major barrier to getting involved in the matching? Did you ever feel like you had too much personal baggage to deal with before getting involved? How did you overcome that and confidently go into the matching? Great question.
Well, someone with quite a bit of personal baggage.
Yes, honey.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there was a lot that led to me just having a lot of self-doubt, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's a certain point where it's just like, you know, I'm probably just always going to have baggage, and that's a thing for everyone. Everyone just sort of, that is something I believe. I believe everyone just sort of always has baggage. But where the difference lies is how you manage it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think of it like, oh, once I'm going to solve it and then it's gone. It's something that you manage. I always compare it to scrubbing my back, because I'll admit this, I have back knee, everyone, and it's there unless I scrub my back. And every time I stop scrubbing my back, it always comes back every time. So I just always tell myself I have to keep scrubbing my back, but then apply that to mental health. And right, so again, there's no real formula to know is this too much baggage? How much baggage is this? Am I managing it? That's something that's hard to gauge, which is why it's important while you're in this matching process to be super honest about that stuff. Because it's okay to have baggage. You just have to know how you're managing it. And then if you're both honest, and you're both honest about your baggage, and you're both honest about the ways that you're managing your baggage, then the process of the matching will be completely consensual, and no one will be surprised, and you will find a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just add, like, honesty is really important.
It is.
That we were able to be on, and I feel like sometimes we felt closest was when Don could share honestly with me about some of his, really deep insecurities, and that helped me to open up as well. I mean, yeah, like everyone said, I have them too, but I was more hesitant even than he was to talk about it. Like I would keep that stuff really, really buried. So that was hard for me to open up, but I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, I definitely had personal baggage that I thought was too much for me before stepping into the matching process. But I don't know. I actually, after starting the matching process, I got connected with one of the BFM counselors, Pat Dedelfson, and like, in terms of baggage, she was real like higher on my ass in terms of getting that restored and out of the way. So yeah, I think yes, it's there, but like I'm a real advocate for the BFM resources. I think there's a lot of great counselors out there and central figures out there that you can reach out to. It certainly expedites like managing it, restoring it, like getting your life back together stuff. So
Yeah. And on top of that, like once you get into the process, like you just like, you know, I was always making excuses like, oh, I have so much on my plate. Like I have so much crap. No one's gonna want me because I have all this stuff from my past. But at the end of the day, like once you get into the matching process, like you're just kind of forced to start dealing with it, you know, instead of moping about it. And it's great. I mean, you know, it really got me to a place where I just really had to take responsibility for myself instead of like because if you expect for the other person to take care of you, that's just not going to work out. Like with your baggage, that's just not going to work out. So like, and I found that out pretty early on, and I'm like, well, all right, I guess I got to deal with my stuff. But surrendering to that is very important. And like, I don't know, I think going through a matching process kind of forces you into that zone. Yeah.
I ditto that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of add also, with people that feel like they have a baggage that they have to deal with, if you, that shouldn't stop you from entering a process. I think as long as you as an individual, like many of you guys were talking about, has some kind of plan on how to restore that or what you're to deal with it in a healthy way, then people can accept that. And no one has too much baggage that they're undeserving of love or finding a partner. But yes. I don't think it doesn't have to be your opening line. Like you don't have to say that all and dump it all on someone on the first day. Let them get to know you and your personality, but you don't want to hold back on the day after the blessing to tell them all your baggage either, you know? So finding that good sweet spot. Just sorry, just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. All right, a few more questions. So if you did have a matching advisor, how was it working with a matching advisor versus your parents?
Well, I don't know. My mom was pretty hands-off when it came to the process. I had a matching advisor who's also a good friend of mine, and talking to her really helped. I think it depends on the situation, but I was kind of given the opportunity to take ownership over the matching process. So I would let my mom know what's going on, but the person that was doing everything was me. And if I had questions, I'll go to my matching advisor, but it kind of all fell onto me in taking ownership.
Yes, agreed. As someone who also had a matching advisor, yeah, I mean, like my mom's approach was kind of look at profile, do this and that. Maybe that was his approach too. But I mean, the more people that you have doing that and sort of networking, the better.
Did it feel different working with matching advisor versus parents?
I don't know. He found you pretty quickly.
Okay, you didn't have to look that long with him. I see. Okay, I didn't work with a matching advisor, so I can't say.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Don and Eiko.
But I think Robert might have some.
Well,
Robert, you want to add? Yeah.
Yeah, my parents were pretty hands off, and I didn't have a matching advisor. So, I mean, I relied on, I guess, my own personal approach, like to the person, and then pairing up with a central figure throughout the matching process, and it works.
That's a good point. That's another avenue, using a central figure, somebody you trust. Not necessarily, they have to be a matching advisor. All right, thank you. Next question, how did you handle matching processes that didn't work out? I know you both shared different points throughout your stories, but if you could share you know, a little bit more, or what helped you through that process of healing, and not, you know, especially not giving up hope.
Right. I could share on that. I think, yeah, after my first matching process ended, I mean, it was kind of emotionally difficult, but handling it in a way of like, okay, well, how can I, you know, come out of this still like offering it up to God, like even though it's really painful, and I don't know there. And I think the big thing was looking at it, praying about it, and trying to see from God's perspective on like what I needed to learn from it, in terms of maybe my mistakes. A big one was control. Like I was just like, I really didn't want my parents involved in that matching process, in particular the first one. And so I think a lot of that came from my own control, just trying to like make the matching process the way I wanted it. And then the other part was, yeah, not communicating early on. And so just kind of stepping back and then learning those takeaways about like communication, and even just openness to parental involvement. Because I think in this my matching process with Eiko, I applied those lessons and updated my parents more, communicated with them more, and communicate with Eiko more. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like you should, as best as you can, use it as an opportunity. Like definitely when something ends, like take a break.
Yeah,
man.
Time. You need one thing. You need is time.
Yeah,
right.
But then after that, after you have some time, you can kind of use that as an opportunity to update your profile and ask yourself like these questions again. One thing I wanted to add is, so I'm studying probability now, probability theory. So the bit of probability advice that I wanted to add is, the more, you know, attempts that you make at the blessing, the more likely it is that you will find someone. And it might be a really small chance, but you only need it to work out once, right? It's not like you need to find the perfect person 3 times in a row or something. It just needs to happen once. So.
Thank you for that. Yes. Anyway, much like what Robert was sharing, for me was also about trying to find something I could learn from the experience. Was my first process, especially. That one went on for quite a while, over a year actually. And that was the hardest one for me, because I was completely new and like I didn't know what I was doing, honestly. So I had a lot of regrets, but mainly for about myself, thinking, you know, I could see a lot like, oh, a lot of criticizing myself, you know, after it didn't work out, which was hard. And yeah, there was like, time was definitely an issue as well. Like I needed time to heal and to rethink, you know, what I really wanted. And holding on to faith is really what helped me as well, and kind of holding on to the vision. This is what God wants for me, even if I kind of feel hopeless right now. You know, God still has hope for me, so I can't give up. Help me to try again.
Thank you. Anything else? We can move on. All right.
This was my first process, so I don't have much to say.
First try.
Awesome. Well, thank you for those answers. The final question: how have you gotten along with other couples so far? I think maybe that's something a lot of single people wonder. How the blessed couples, do they hang out together? Do they do things together? Is it a different world? How's that been?
Well, we did, before COVID. But yeah, actually, in all seriousness, like from our blessing, we formed a quintinity. So it's like, you heard of trinities, right? But we went overboard. We got 5 couples, all from like the same region, or at least one of the spouses was from like the DMV area. And it was like somebody knew each other, like one. So we kind of worked it out when we were at the blessing together in Korea, and we kept in touch. We had some Zoom chats, and so like we would meet up physically, not all together at once, but in groups. And that was great. We haven't been able to do that much this year, but I like, I don't know, I guess it's a nice bonding time when you're meeting up with people who are in the same stage of life as you, so it's been nice to also to share, like I can talk to other blessed wives, right? And we can like kind of complain about our husbands. No, I'm kidding. No, of course not. But we can share our hearts together, which is great. Yeah, so I do like that.
All the husbands go.
Manly stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No talking.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. Like we have mutual friends who got blessed together with. Like we talk to them here and there. But COVID's been, I guess, kind of, yeah, a thing. But we have met a few couples, and it's always nice like catching up, and I don't know. Yeah, we just are fortunate to have friends who are couples, so we can connect in that way.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, thank you. That's the last of our questions for tonight. Thank you so much to our audience for listening and participating and asking your questions. I really felt like people really appreciated hearing from both of y'all because you really shared so openly and vulnerably, and just so honestly, that people could really appreciate that and see. I think that's something that, right, we all want in our relationships, is to have that ability to trust somebody so much and be so open with them and free, as Robert was saying. So I just want to give you another round of applause for being with us tonight. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to hand it over to Shizuka if you have any last words or announcements for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. And thank you to both the couples. Like Isaac was saying, I think everyone really appreciate how open you guys were and just speaking honestly from your experience and from your heart. And we're obviously very happy for both of you guys, both of your couples to find each other. So for everyone in the audience, thank you for tuning in to this month's series or this month's How We Met. We have it every month on the third Thursday of the month, so it'll be next month. And for announcements, we do have a 24 plus that's coming up. It's virtual. We are having 50 participants. I think we're like almost 75% full, even maybe a little bit more. So we're almost there, but we just opened it up on Sunday. So it's amazing how quickly it fills up. Yeah. But I think just with COVID and everything, people want to still do something, and we haven't had many workshops and such. So anyways, you guys feel free to sign up and mingle with other people. But other than that, thank you again. Have a good night, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.